My undergraduate was at UC San Diego, University of California at San Diego. That was a degree in biology. And then I went to Boston University and got a master's degree, also in biology, but specializing in experimental hematology in the day. And then I went to UCLA and got a PhD in biology there. And then I went to the Scripps Institution of Oceanography, which is in San Diego, or La Jolla, and that was a postdoctoral position in biophysics. I got into neuroscience through a combination of factors. So I was always interested in technological things and how things worked and putting things together and sort of nuts and bolts and gears and that sort of thing. And then, but I was doing cell biology research at the time for my master's degree. And when I got to UCLA, I got hooked up in a lab that was doing cell biology research. But down the hallway, there was a fellow studying the auditory system of frogs, and he was a brand new professor. And so I kept drifting down there because his lab was all about nuts and bolts and electronic equipment like you see. And I'd always had an interest in electronics. It's also the case that I spent a lot of my youth playing around with fish and lizards and amphibians in the back county of San Diego, where I grew up. In those days, it was very rural as soon as you got out of the major urban area, and you could catch any manner of critters, and so that's what I did. I spent hundreds of hours in the tide pools catching fish and so forth. So it was this lab, because it was studying frogs, was an opportunity to put together my interest in whole animals and particularly fish, amphibians, reptiles, and my interest in electronics and technological things. So it was a good marriage. So I just sort of was hanging out in this lab more and more, and at one point the PI came to me and said, do you want to change advisors? And I said, you mean I could work in this lab? Yeah. He says, okay. So that was it. And suddenly I was a graduate student in that lab.